Greetings. I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Why is this my year of depth? That is a question that we are going to be exploring through a new series called Deeper Gratitude. I believe that our most important work happens when we go deep on what matters most to us. Instead of trying to go wide and only go shallow, instead picking a few things to go deep on. There is where we can find our greatest contribution, our greatest impact, but also our most fulfilling work. So throughout the rest of 2021, throughout the rest of my year of depth, this series is going to bring to you different guests, different people I admire, I love, and that I want you to connect with and learn, first of all, where are they going deep in their life? Then they're going to share with you where they'd like to see you go deep. And lastly, what fuels that deep work they're doing through their gratitude. Now, like I said, we're going to use this intro for each one. So if you're hearing this and thinking, I heard this episode last week, don't worry. Same intro, different guests. Now, all of these episodes were recorded through June through July 2021. The year is always unpredictable. And so I say the date of when this was recorded so you have context, just in case if I release this in October or something like that. It lets you know we didn't know what was going to happen in October. Although I'm releasing this in October or November, all of these were released in the context of June and July 2021. Okay, that's enough for me. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back, everyone. Today is June 29th, and I am joined by another guest. She goes by the name of Fiona Harvey. What's going on, Fiona?
Hey, Tom. How are you?
It has been too long since we got to see each other face to face like this.
Yeah, I think it's been like almost 5 or 6 years.
Yes. So it's great to see you. For those who haven't had the chance to share space with you and create and all these amazing things we've gotten to do. For those who don't know you, how would you describe yourself in 6 words?
I would say compassionate, empathetic, joyful, driven, intentional, and passionate.
I love it. I love it. And how did you pick those words?
I just thought about my personality, different experiences that I've been through in life and how it's really shaped who I am. And those were the words that came to mind.
What do you think it says about who you are?
It definitely shows that I do have a story and that I have experienced so much, whether that's grief, whether that's loss and grief especially, but also just navigating life as a millennial.
Yeah. Is there when you say it shows that I have a story, is there a particular story that you can share with us that it might bring up or that it might point to?
Yes, I would definitely say leading with kindness. I always say it's important to first listen to someone, and then that way you can understand them and accept them and encourage them. And I think about times where I've come across people, and I always say somebody has a story. So I remember when I was in South Africa, I worked with trans women and just listening to their stories about identity and culture and navigating the world and really hearing, wow, you have a story, you have your own journey, and how they rose above anybody else's perception of them. So I always just try to lead with that compassion. I am a New Yorker, so we tend to be fast-paced and go, go, go. But there is a compassionate side to us where if we see someone that's really in need or something's going on, the community comes together. So when it comes to those words, it's all about connection for me, connecting to other people.
When did you start to have this is one way I want to lead with: deep connection, deep listening, holding space for people to share their stories? When did that superpower of yours start coming to, when did your powers start to show themselves?
Yes. That's a really great question. And I think it comes, especially during my travels. I love to travel. I started when I was young. My mother took me on trips with her. And just seeing that we're more alike than different. People really care about things like family, unity, and just realizing that, wow, no matter where we are in the world, there are people who can show kindness. And as I grew up, I just realized that people are unique and nobody can make it out here alone. One of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou, and she says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. So you see me, Fiona, and we see Tom, but there are people who have influenced us and shaped us, both in great ways, and sometimes the situation may have been negative, but it's a compilation of so many moving parts of people and experiences. So knowing that, it helps me to connect to people easier.
I love that. And that quote is just something to think on. Who are the 10,000s standing with me?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Where are you going deep in your life?
So when it comes to my life, I'm really going deep into what is my purpose and being intentional about the next steps in my life. And whether that's a month from now or a year from now, I'm really working on being intentional and trying to live in my purpose. Time is moving. I think about when I was living in Florida, that was 2013. And I can't believe it. That was 8 years ago. Time is moving and I don't want to waste it. I want to enjoy my life. So I'm clear about that. I want to enjoy it, but I also want to make sure that I'm intentional so that I can live a life that I've created and that's working with me. So I'm really going deep into that purpose. What do I enjoy? Who do I enjoy being with? And what gives me fulfillment? That's really what I'm stepping into right now. Yes.
You're someone, though, who people, I'm guessing, want to be around your energy for better or for worse. So those are, I like how you define purposeful. You get intentional by asking yourself those kind of questions. So how do you do that in this world that we live in, that on an interpersonal level, people might take, people might give? On a systemic level, there's taking and there's giving. How do you do that living in this world we live in? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it really comes down to setting boundaries for myself and being honest about where I am and how I'm feeling, and being comfortable in saying, not right now, I'm not able to. There's different ways to pivot, but I have to do it for myself because it's so easy these days to get depleted. If you're giving, pouring, will you have anything left for you? So that matters for me. And I think about just setting those boundaries. Yeah. This is Joe. He's saying hello to you guys.
Hello. Cute dog. I think a lot of people listening to this might be thinking, I want some of that, right? So we hear on podcasts often, set boundaries, nurture your own energy, but then it's tough. Someone we love might need more, or it's hard to say no. It's hard to maintain those boundaries. Easy to complain when we don't keep the boundaries up. Hard to do it in a way that's graceful. Can you share a little bit your journey on learning to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Because when it is a loved one or someone that's really close to us, it does make it difficult. So I go to therapy. I'm a big supporter of therapy. We go to the dentist every 6 months. When we have a headache, we take something for it. And we all need someone to talk to just to navigate our daily lives and situations. So when I think about that, one thing is when it comes to setting boundaries that my therapist helped me with is carving out a time if that hey, Thursdays at 7 tend to be free for me. If a friend needs a favor and you're able to that Thursday, you can say, hey, can't today, but how's Thursday? Having time that you can carve out to help that person. Or having different phrases of saying no. I wish that I could help, but I can't. Showing that bit of empathy. I understand your situation, but at this time, I'm unable to. Some people have difficulty saying no. That used to be me in a sense, but then you realize everybody has to have some type of boundary. So coming up with phrases that work for you, coming up with a time of day or a certain part of the month that you know that, hey, this is a little bit of free time that I'll have if someone needs me. And then it's also different types of communication. Maybe you prefer texting and you say, hey, I'm not comfortable with a phone call, but I can text. Or you know what? Hey, how about you email me what you need? Those are different ways to show up for people, but still making sure that you put yourself first and honoring yourself.
This is really nice because I hear people say be intentional a lot and they don't often elaborate. And so this is real nice that I'm hearing intentional can look like practicing ahead of time. So when somebody asks and you want to say no in a loving way, like you're saying, having phrases, have certain times where you will say yes. That's some real nice actionable ways to be intentional. So I think I hope y'all were listening. If not, hit that rewind 15-second button, write down the notes that Fiona just gave you. Where do you invite people? Where would you like to see people go deeper in their life?
I would love to see people go deeper in terms of what they bring to the world. I always say when I was actually the senior orator for my graduation at college, I was the student speaker, right? And I talked about everyone adding value. So everybody in this world adds value. And I would love for people to go deeper and really think about their contribution to the world. And the neat thing is that it doesn't look like that for everyone. For some people, you may see that, wow, my value looks like art. For another person, their value may look like dance or speaking. And remembering that, it helps you to stay in your lane in a sense, because everybody adds value. And it also helps with your self-esteem and your self-worth. So many of us are struggling, whether it's with mental health or just stress of day-to-day life, even you name it. COVID has been a stressor for so many people. It's taken a toll on a lot of people. So remembering that you add value in how you show up, believing in that. I think I would love to see people go deeper in that, because once you do, then you feel this rush of energy, Tom. You feel like, wow, I matter and I have something to add for yourself, not what society thinks it is, but for you.
I love that. And it's so generous. I'm like already calling myself out, because when you said everybody adds value to the world, I'm like, even these 5 people that I'm thinking about, even Ted Cruz, like even these.
Right.
How do you get there to be looking at the world in such a generous way?
Well, just because I witnessed certain things in life where you don't know how much time you have. So from a young age, I've witnessed family members, loved ones pass away. Some of them young. I had a cousin who passed away at 10. Some of them older, like my grandmother, or middle age, pretty young, my aunt and my own father. And so you want to step into your value early and your gifts, whatever it may be. I think that's really where it stemmed from, realizing that time, it keeps moving. You don't know when your time may come to an end, and you have to realize, how do I add value? So that's funny that you mentioned those folks. They add value in their own way. There must be some goodness. I don't always agree, but there must be something there.
I suppose there's a lesson there in saying they're still human, right? We don't want to dehumanize people, even if they dehumanize others. So I got you. Leave your politics out of this, Tom. Come on, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You've said that phrase a couple of times. Time keeps moving on. Time keeps going. Sounds like you're time conscious. There's a thoughtfulness about time. And you're also the kind of person who's very thoughtfulness about being present. So how do you balance those two of this like awareness that time's always moving, but being present right here in the moment?
Wow. And I like that you noticed that, because for me, I try not to live on other people's timeline, but I do feel like time is slipping away sometimes. So what keeps me present is that gratitude right there in the moment. So when I am feeling overwhelmed, when I'm feeling stressed, or when I'm feeling happy, pausing and taking that moment for gratitude, but also grabbing the journal, the notebook, and writing it out. That has helped me with time and just pausing, because I do live in a fast-paced city. So do you. So you know how it can be at times. And that gratitude has helped to sustain me and really bring me back to what is happening right here, right now. Because sometimes it's easy to think, I should be doing this and I should have done that, and I want this to happen. But we can't control every little bit of our lives. So I bring it back to gratitude.
What is something right now that you are super passionate about, that just is like, you're like, give me a window and I will talk to you about this for, forever? What's something that's really got you passionate right now?
Yes, for me, it has been self-care. I've done a couple of speaking engagements on this topic for people of different ages, actually, for individuals of different types of career paths. And it's been self-care. I'm very passionate about it because you can't pour from an empty cup. We've heard that phrase before. And we all wear different hats. That's my favorite analogy. So I look at you, Tom, you're a friend, you're somebody's son, a husband. I think about myself. I'm an educator, I'm a daughter, so many different types of labels. But at the core, I am just me. I am myself. So I've been talking about self-care a lot. I'm very passionate about that because we have to take care of ourselves, especially during COVID, where there's been a mental strain, an emotional one for many of us, physical. The way we think about the world has shifted, and we're coping with loss. So with self-care, it's a way for us to really be intentional about ourself and our well-being. Totally passionate about that.
I love that. You had mentioned just a few minutes ago, gratitude. What are you grateful for right now?
I am grateful for a new day, an opportunity. I am grateful to be able to reconnect with great friends like you. Shout out to Zoom. That it's made it so much easier. Really appreciate that. I am grateful for fresh air and my dog Joe, who popped into the video right now. Just grateful for that. Grateful for life and those people who are in it. And sometimes my gratitude, Tom, it comes down simply to being grateful for water, clean water that I can shower with, that I can drink. I'm grateful for that.
And what would you say is your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about? What's your invitation?
I invite people to just be gentle with themselves. Be gentle with yourself. Whatever situation you are navigating now that probably has you stressed out, be gentle with yourself. Ask yourself, what would 6-year-old me need at this time? Is it rest? Is it time to just relax? Is it a hug? Is it maybe coloring? Like they have the adult coloring books. What is it that you need? Is it talking to a loved one? I would invite them to really be gentle with themselves and give themselves exactly what they need.
I love that. And for those who want to reach out to you, tell you how awesome you are, learn more about the coaching you do, the community work that you do, where can they do that?
Awesome. I have my website, FionaVey.com, FionaVey.com. You can connect with me for coaching services. I'm a master connector, so I love connecting people. If there's someone that you need to meet in terms of career or whatever it is, I love to connect folks. So that's my master connection services. And I am also on social media at Fiona Harvey _. So that's TikTok and that's also Instagram as well.
I love how you named connection as one of your superpowers, because some of my favorite guests that we've had here were from your connection. So most definitely. What does that look like? So if people want to reach out to you for your connection superpowers, what does that look like?
Yes. So with that, we have a consultation call, and you describe to me what exactly it is that you are looking for. And I will work with you. And if I have someone or a service, then we move forward with the next steps. And it's just great. For example, I had an artist who's a singer, songwriter, and she wanted to book more shows and bring her artistry to people. And so I was able to connect her to an organization that's looking for speakers, for artists, and they have their own platform. And she's been able to reach over 15,000 people. I also had another client of mine who wanted to connect with more like-minded individuals who are culturally competent. And so I was able to connect them to a few groups and a director of a cultural organization. And now she's a part of a great network and also doing work on their e-board. So whatever it is that you're looking for, I most likely will be able to connect you, whether it's the arts, whether it's medicine, fitness. It's pretty vast, my network. So I love doing that because everybody should be connected. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a gift. So this allows them to display that.
I love that. Co-signing, I've already said you connected me with so many awesome guests. So y'all hit up Fiona, follow her for her empowering content. Fiona, this was so amazing. I am so grateful to you for joining us, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's truly been wonderful. And thank you for asking me. I was glad to be here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. It is June 24th. Today we are recording, and we have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Tasneem Noor. Salams, Tasneem. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm good. How are you, Tom?
Good. Alhamdulillah. Glad that you're a return guest. If y'all know, we had a great conversation on authenticity, on trusting yourself, all those things with Tasneem last time. Grateful to have you back, Tasneem.
Always good to be back.
There you go. You just what you're supposed to say. I'm awesome. I'm so glad to be here. Like, what was the pause? What's going on?
Like efficiency, keep moving.
No, we can always pause to affirm me. Okay, that can always happen.
Sounds good. It's always fun. As soon as you asked, I said yes, because I was like, why not? Where else would I have so much fun in a meaningful way?
I appreciate that. Fun in a meaningful way. I like that. How would you describe yourself in 6 words?
Well, the words that come to me, I think, are sincere, spiritual, authentic, curious, compassionate, and adaptive. Are those 6?
That 6 works for me.
Good.
So it's not that you're wondering if you're adaptive. It's that was adaptive the 6th one. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. What do those 6 words say about who you are?
Well, I think just that I'm the kind of person that goes with the flow, but I'm intentional as I do it. And the adaptivity comes from living in different places, being in different spaces, navigating through differences. And so, you have to kind of go with the flow. And I try to do it with as much love and realness as I can.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. What does the flow mean to you?
The flow means to me being sincere, being present, connecting in a real way. Like sometimes we're so much in our head that we're just too busy wanting to get somewhere. And I know I'm guilty of that. So that for me is a way of just saying, I'm not worried about where I end up being. I'm just wanting to make the most of where I am right now in a way that feels good to me.
I love that. That's a great definition. Where are you going deeper in your life?
Well, it's actually on the same path that I am, I think, naming and claiming for myself. That's where I want to go deeper, which is to surrender more to God, to life, to myself, meaning my potential, my dream. And instead of holding on tightly to where I want to go, and worrying about expectations and things like that, just really focusing on my intention, which is to have an impact, to make a difference, to live meaningfully,
So you're saying doing that, but without holding on tightly? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So going deeper in the flow without getting distracted with where am I getting there? Where am I? And all of that.
Where does that come from for you? Where this is what I want to go deeper in. Where does that come from?
It comes from a place of wanting to just be a better version of myself and to have a bigger or better impact. With whether it is with my loved ones, with my family, how I interact with my parents or siblings, be it with the work that I do, bringing communities together, and really get to know one another and work through the difficult topics. So in all of that is where it shows up.
When is a time, if you can think of a specific story, where you felt like you did that well, all that you're describing?
Where I did that well. Well, I feel like whenever I'm in the facilitator mode, I do that well. I facilitate a lot of conversations around differences, around bringing people of different religions and backgrounds together, or different political views or whatnot. And I remember, this is a more specific conversation. I had just learned a new tool, a new skill of engaging people in conversation using stories. And I was like, how do I do this? What do I do? Like, what's the right question? And I was like totally in the head wanting to use this tool to the best way possible. And then I finally got into the conversation. I outed myself and said, hey, I am just figuring this out, but this is my intention of having this conversation with you. So let's just explore. And that sense of outing myself to that person and just being real authentic and raw and saying, hey, I'm in my head wanting to come back into my heart and be real with you. helped me get back into the flow. And we had the most amazing conversation, exchanged stories about our families, about how our family members, people that we love, have been discriminated, how that translates into the larger society. Like, it went everywhere I imagined or wanted it to go, but it felt really smooth and easy instead of, following a script that was difficult and constraining.
So it sounds like what you did well was, instead of like trying to hold on to these rules and on the exterior, I'm perfect, I know what I'm doing, you're just like, let me just try this out, look, and you were vulnerable, and that allowed you to get into the flow.
Exactly.
And tell me if, Tom, I can't talk.
Keep it real and be real. That's what I'll say in a summary.
And I want to give context for some folks who might not know all the work you do. And so feel free to say, like, I can't talk about this, sorry. But you have real conversations. So I'm imagining right now, at the time of this recording, you're probably having a lot of facilitation conversations on Israel and Palestine. Is that true?
That is very true. Yes.
How do you stay in the flow? How do you stay real and authentic on something that's so critical, on something that's so right now? There's so much at stake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lives are at stake. People are dying. People are hurting. Emotions are high. They're raw. I think it's been challenging. I won't lie. The most important thing I found for myself is, again, to be grounded in why I'm even doing this. And even in the moments when I struggle with being compassionate because I disagree with the other side or whatnot, to really take a deep breath in that moment and say, okay, what am I not seeing? What am I holding on to that is keeping me back from really hearing this person? And that self-check and helping others to do that check. So, for example, I had a really difficult conversation with someone who is having a hard time engaging constructively with others in this context. And he was hurting, and all of that was true. And so I just had him share with me at the end of the day, like, why are you even engaging? What do you really want to get out of this conversation? And he said, I want people to see me. I don't want people to represent me incorrectly, so on and so forth. I was like, okay. And so there was space for him to share what was important to him. And then we brought it back to, all right, the way you are communicating, is that meeting those objectives or not? And if it is not, then what would be more authentic way, a sincere, honest way for you to meet those objectives while staying at the table? And if this is not the time for you to meet those objectives, or if you're not able to meet those objectives, then it's okay to step away from the table and come back when you are ready. So it's a lot of real conversations in that way. And I know it doesn't change things on the ground. And people who are suffering and hurting and dying, their reality doesn't allow for us to, they're not the ones having these conversations. But as folks who care about them, who are thinking about them, who are wanting to do something to help them, it's important that we approach it from a place of integrity and compassion and strength, rather than anger, just reacting and messing up on your own goals.
I love that. And I know it's tough to talk about, so I appreciate you going there with us. Why is it so hard to actively listen, especially when it's something that I'm really passionate about and I feel I'm right in?
Mm-hmm. Why is it hard to really listen? Because it rubs against something that you hold to be true and dear, right? And so that means, and there's essentially a question of, if I give you that space, then does it take something away from my truth, from my belief? And that feels vulnerable. And when you care so strongly about something, you don't want to you protect it, and you don't want to give up on it at any point. But I think what I have found in my personal experience, again, for myself and working with people around these tough issues, is that it is scary. It is uncomfortable. It is hard. And when you give yourself space to do it, you discover so much more. So all the things that you're afraid of usually don't end up being as real as the gifts that are on the other side, which is greater feeling of, okay, right? Sometimes you just have that reaction for yourself, or experience for yourself. Sometimes it's a deeper understanding of, oh, I didn't get that, and now I do. Sometimes it's just as simple as asking a different question and being more effective, right? Sometimes it is realizing where your own blind spot was. And so there's just so many benefits, and those magical moments emerge because you are willing to engage even when it's tough to listen.
I love that. What do you want people to go deeper on?
Just that, I think to go deeper on identifying what really matters to you and owning it. Sometimes, we don't, sometimes we talk about the issues or the superficial level, but don't say what underneath it is what really matters. And so when you are able to name that, it automatically creates more space for a deeper, sincere, honest, and difficult, but rewarding exchange to happen. And essentially, I want more joy. I want more compassion, where we don't see one another as objectives or just bodies or labels, but as people. I believe that's important to each person. And the only way I can be happy and in integrity is if I'm able to hold space for that for others as well. So what really matters to you? Go deep on that. And,
And you'll find your truth.
Yeah.
I love that. Could you illustrate with an example where you were saying, this is what feels like it's hurting or what's frustrating you, but there might be something underneath. Could you kind of illustrate an example?
Yeah. So for example, this is off the top of my head, but since Israel and Palestine came up, obviously you can get into, there's a lot to be said about, is it a war? Is it an occupation? Is it an apartheid? Is it this? Is it that? There's a lot to be said about who started it or why it's happening, and, all those narratives. And underneath all of that, what really matters to you? What is at stake for you? So what I personally, was questioning is human capacity. Like, what really matters to me is that whether I disagree with you or what's a stronger word than disagree? Like, really just, like stronger than disagree, whatever that word is. So whether it's disagree or a stronger version of disagreement, can I still see the humanity in you? Can we still find some level of saying, okay, this is a value to me? And the reason why I'm saying all this is not because of some, not utopian. What's that? Utopian, model or aspiration of nirvana, but because that is a value for myself. If I start seeing you, Tom, as just, you're not what I like, let me see, what fake label can I use for you? As a hippie, right? Let's just say if I only see you as a hippie and I don't see your heart, your talent, your creativity, all of that underneath that, then I am being untrue to my own values. So for me, it's not about like, oh, everybody is good, everybody is human. And, it's not like that. It's just, I want to be true to myself. That's what matters. And so I push myself so that I can be true to myself.
So let me make sure I understand.
Yeah.
So there might be something I'm deeply passionate about that I believe is black and white. Like, this is wrong, this is right. I have those for sure. And there's someone I'm engaging with who is on the opposite side of this. I believe black, they believe white.
Mm-hmm.
If I genuinely want to move the dial on where they're at, I have to be able to see their humanity or it's never going to move. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes. And 200%. And I'm moving the dial and seeing your humanity. I want to do that, not for some exterior large, goal, but because it is what matters to me. And that's what I claim to be true about myself. I claim to be curious. I claim to be compassionate. So I have to be in integrity with those values or descriptions that I use to describe me. Right?
What are you grateful for, Tasneem?
I'm grateful for smiles. I'm grateful for good company and people who push me, who challenge me, who support me. I'm grateful for feeling very blessed and held by my creator, and for all the potential that there is.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tasneem, for people who are listening right now who are grateful for you and they want to connect with you, where can they do that?
You can always reach me on thefaithconnector.com. That's my website. And just email me also at tasneem@thefaithconnector.com.
And can folks still get your book if they want to get your book?
Yes. It's called The Faith Connection. Your journey starts with knowing yourself, and it's really exploring what you have faith in and how you can use it even more to live a fuller life.
And it's a proper book, y'all. Tasneem is a fully published author. I have the signed copy on my bookshelf. Highly recommend it.
Woohoo.
Tasneem, what is your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, be, consider, think about, evolve into? What's your invitation?
Well, it's in alignment with identifying what matters. So it's a very simple practice, naming your intentions. Before you start any conversation, however basic, however hard, however deep, however whatever, just name your intention. My intention is to get to know you. My intention is just to be heard right now and vent because it's been the most terrible day ever, right? Or my intention is to really explore this with you, so I can grapple with it more. Or my question is just to ask, my intention is to just ask a lot of questions so I can see what comes up, right? So whatever your intention is, name it and go into it with that intention.
Tasneem, I'm so grateful that you joined us today. You shared your wisdom with us.
Yay.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Tom, for always sharing your wisdom and creating these platforms that are fun and meaningful and deep.
I love that. Fun, meaningful, and deep. I appreciate that, Tasneem. Thank you.
Good. Bye.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Deeper Gratitude. I hope you appreciated getting to learn where my guests are going deeper, their invitation to you on where they'd like to see you go deeper. And I hope it had offered some insights into what people are doing emotionally to fuel this important work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this series. Please reach out to me at Tom Earl Artist, tom@tomearl.com, or if you'd like to go deeper in your marketing and your Facebook or Instagram ads, you can find a ton of free resources by going to tomearl.me/ads, tomearl.me/ads. Please reach out to my guests from this week. Let them know how much you appreciate them, support their work. It has truly been an honor having you share your greatest gifts with us, your time and energy. And I look forward to you joining us next week. As always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.